Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Blue Whale, and today I got a little video. I was just brainstorming on my own, and I decided I kind of want to make a video about it as well. Basically, I was thinking about this new mastery. Let's go ahead and hop over to masteries. Courage of the Colossus. So, this new mastery, of course, everyone doesn't know how good it is, who to take it on, all that stuff. It's brand new. I mean, some people have had access to it on PvE, but you know, you're not really gonna know that much about it until it's been out for a while and you've tried it out. But I'm trying to eliminate a little bit of that not knowing stage. Let me turn down this just a shade. By the way, if you want to listen to the music that we're listening to, this is the song. I wanted to listen to it, so we're just gonna listen to it on loop in the background. I'll leave a link to it down below as well. But anyways, so we got this new Courage of the Colossus, and everyone's wondering who it's good on. Should I use it? Should I not use it? You know, some people don't. I didn't even know how it worked. The first game I took it on Garen. It does not work on Garen. Stuff like that. So I was going to brainstorm and kind of eliminate a lot of this guessing game of who it might be good on, who it might not be good on. We can eliminate a lot of champions. I've already done it off of recording. I already did it ahead of time, but I'm gonna talk through it again with you guys. But like, the list of champions that can use Courage of the Colossus is already pretty small, but also that can use it well. And it might not. You also got to think about, would this just be outclassed by a different keystone? So because of that, the list is tiny. It's tiny compared to how many champions there are in League. It is not a very big list. So once we get through this, hopefully you guys will kind of have a general idea. Of course, you don't have to take everything I say as like law or anything. If you don't think I'm right on something, that's fine. And you think you should be using it anyways, that's fine. You know, you guys can try it on your own, and make sure you give me your opinions on, you know, who can use it, who can't, in the description. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump over to champions. Well, first let's talk about, let me make another one of these. And we're going to list our rules for Courage of the Colossus on this one, okay? So the first rule, Courage of the Colossus, is a champion has to be hit with hard CC. If you didn't know that, not every champion in the game can use Courage of the Colossus. You have to have hard CC. And basically what hard CC is, it means that you stop the enemy from moving. So examples of hard CC are snares, stuns, knockups, knockbacks, etc., suppressions, stuff like that. All of the things that impair enemy movement is a hard CC. Things that aren't hard CC, sorry, my hair is all fucky. I like woke up, rolled out of bed, and came over here. Anyways, things that aren't hard CC are things like slows are not hard CC, silences are not hard CC, blinds, whether it be Teemo or, you know, Graves and Quinn's really annoying blind, none of that stuff is hard CC because you can still move. That's it. That's the only real difference. So, our first rule is going to be it has to be hard CC. Our second rule, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole, right? The second rule is that you need to be able to use it about as often as Courage of the Colossus will come up. So that means you need to be able to use it at least every 30 seconds. The more spammable it is, the better. Because say you had an ability that has a 30-second cooldown. I don't know. Let's say someone's ultimate, once you have enough CDR at level 16, is a 30-second cooldown. You don't want that to be the only way you can use Courage of the Colossus, because that means every time your ultimate's down, or every time you just don't want to use your ultimate, you know, you don't. Sorry, I just hit the mic. You don't have to use it because the enemy's not going to get away. Any of those scenarios, you're completely wasting your keystone. So because of that, we want a little bit of a spammable ability, give or take. Basically, what I mean here is it can't just be on your ultimate. If you can use it with your ultimate and another spell, that's actually probably best. But don't let it just be on your ultimate. So we're going to go ahead and say spammable, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Another rule is it has to be kind of easy to use. For example, it doesn't need to be, well, sorry, this kind of has two meanings. One, it doesn't need to be a really difficult to hit skill shot that you're never going to hit, so you're never going to make usage of your keystone. But also, on top of that, it needs to be within melee range. So I'm just going to kind of chalk all this under an initiator spell. And for initiation spells, some you probably know are Maokai's W is a good example of one, or Nautilus's Q is a good example of one. Those are two. Nautilus Maokai's W is obviously super easy to use because it's a point-and-click CC. Nautilus's Q is a skill shot. You could miss it, but it's still an initiation tool. Let's rename it that. Initiation tool. Because you don't want to use it from far away because of how Courage of the Colossus works. It works based on how many nearby enemies there are. I don't know exactly the range of Courage of the Colossus, but just to be safe, we're not going to do anything like super long range CC, because then you might get like one shield. Yeah, that's not what you want. You want a shield based on how many enemies are nearby you. You want to be on a melee champion going in to get this off. Like, for example, you don't want to play Lux with Courage of the Colossus and then snare someone from really far away and then get what? 10 plus 10 per level shield. You don't get any plus 7%. You just get a 10 per 10 level. So you get like, what, a 190 shield at level 18? That would suck, okay? So it has to be on an initiation tool. Lastly, no, I think that's about it. I think I had just like melee range, but that's all under initiation tool and easy to use. You know, that's the stuff we're going to go down the champion list and kind of get rid of, right? So let's go to champions, and let's, oh yeah, I think I had tanky as one of my requirements. Obviously, it should be on a tanky champion, guys. You're not going to be using this on like Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia hits with her ult. She hits an initiation tool, quote quote, and hard CC. It's not really spammable, but you're still not going to. Come on. You got to think about, is this going to be outweighed by a different keystone as well? You can't just think about, can you use it? You got to think about, is a different keystone better? Let's make that the less is, or outclassed by other. These will be all of our conditions, okay? So let's just go ahead and take a look at every champion. We're gonna run each champion down this list, and I'll kind of, if they meet all the requirements, then we'll just add them to the list. That's it. And if you think a champion should be added to the list that I skip over because I don't think they should be, you know, leave a comment about it, debate with me. Feel free to, I'll answer all the questions in the comment section, or any debates you want to have, that's fine with me. But anyways, let's start off. We're just going to go in alphabetical order down the list, and then when we get to the end, I'll show you guys how small the list actually is going to be. So Aatrox. Aatrox does meet our first criteria. If you didn't know, Aatrox's Q, whatever the hell it's called, Dark Flight, knocks up enemies at the center. That's a hard CC. You'll see it right now in this tournament. That's a hard CC. So that would technically get you Courage of the Colossus. Is it spammable? Yeah. You're going to get your Q up a lot more than you have up your ultimate. That's true. Is it an initiation tool? Sure. It's a melee range knockup, so that means when you go into the enemy team with it, you would get a pretty big shield based on the enemies. And Aatrox is kind of tanky. That's true. However, I think Aatrox is a severe case, of outclassed by another keystone. He hits all 4 of our initial requirements. He can use Courage of the Colossus. However, don't you think that Grasp the Undying, for example, or Fervor would both be much better on Aatrox's kit? He's an auto attack based champion who relies on attack speed and staying in engages and making usage of his blood well to keep his health up. Fervor of Battle and Grasp the Undying both go well with that. So if you want to go tanky, go Grasp. If you want to go offensive, go Fervor. You could use Courage of the Colossus, but you're going to be missing out on a bunch of damage either way. And you don't necessarily want to initiate with Aatrox. You can if you're the only one on your team that can possibly initiate, but in that scenario, you don't really want to be Aatrox. Aatrox is more of a melee carry than he is a initiating tank or something like that. So Aatrox is not going to go on my list. It sucks that one of the first ones that might be debated is the first champion, but he's not going on my list. I know you can use it, but I think it's outclassed by others. So Aatrox is not going on the list. Ahri, no. Her E would proc it, but no. Akali, no way to proc it. Alistar, yes. Alistar goes on the list because Alistar has his W and his Q both proc it. So he has 2 ways of getting it, which is always good because you don't want to have only one way, because when that's on cooldown, you won't be able to get it when you need it, etc., etc. It's spammable because it's on 2, and neither one of those are his ultimate. They don't have super long cooldowns. It's definitely an initiation tool. If you don't know what Alistar does, he's definitely an initiator. He can peel, but he's definitely an initiator. Alistar is one of the tankiest champions in the game, and I don't think that this would be outclassed by another one. However, this also depends on where you're playing Alistar. You can play Alistar in jungle, top, or bot. Bot is definitely the most popular. Bot's definitely the best. And you probably still can make great usage of Courage of the Colossus with bot lane Alistar. But you might want to go Bond of Stone on bot lane Alistar, because this helps your AD carry who you're supporting on bot lane Alistar. You're trying to support them. This only helps yourself, guys. Courage of the Colossus is a selfish mastery, while Bond of Stone is a support mastery. So Alistar can definitely make usage of it, and it's so good on him that we're going to keep him on the list. But I don't think support Alistars should always take it, especially if you're versus an enemy lane that has a lot of poke, or you just have a weak AD carry that needs to scale into late. Any of those things, Bond of Stone will probably do better for you. But if you have a strong AD carry that doesn't need your help, Courage of the Colossus is probably better for Alistar. And if you're playing Alistar in like jungle or top, it's definitely better. So we'll stick with Courage of the Colossus on Alistar. Alright, Amumu. Yes, Amumu goes on the list. He has hard CC on his Q and his ult. His Q is kind of unreliable. You have to be able to hit the skill shot, but it's there. And then his ultimate's definitely very reliable. What you probably want to do is maybe flash ult into late game team fights with Courage of the Colossus. Because I don't know if, say you hit your Q, that would proc your Courage of the Colossus, but depending on where you are and how the radius of Courage of the Colossus works, there might not be enough nearby enemy champions to get you a big shield, so you might want to flash ult with Mumu. But either way, it's going to be good on Mumu. He hits our hard CC. It's spammable with his Q. It's initiation tool with his Q or his ult. He's tanky, and I don't think it's outclassed by another one at the moment. So Mumu definitely on the list. Anivia, no. She can use it. It's spammable, but come on. Annie, no. Ashe, no. Aurelion Sol, no. All these guys are outclassed by, look, Thunderlords, Thunderlords, Fervor, Thunderlords, Thunderlords, Thunderlords. Blitzcrank is an odd case. I thought about Blitzcrank for a while, but overall, I don't think it's great on him because his Q is pretty easy to dodge. People, of course, have been practicing that for, it's going to be going on 7 years next season. So it's okay. Your E can also proc it, so he could get usage of it, but I don't know, man. I think it'd be better to not take it on Blitzcrank. That's all. Brand, no. Braum, another interesting case. Braum could make usage of it, but he's not really an initiator. He can initiate with his ult, but it's more of a counter initiate or appealing tool. And also based on, if you throw your Q at someone and you're not by a lot of enemies, and then one of your teammates procs your Q, that would proc your Courage of the Colossus. And if you're not near enemies, you're not going to get a lot of usage out of it. So Braum is not going to be going on the list. No. Cho'Gath's a no because his Q is hard to hit, and it's only his Q that could possibly get it. So since it's hard to hit and it's all that he has, he's going to be a no. If they only have one spell, but it's pretty easy to use, that's different. But Cho'Gath's Q is kind of easy to dodge, and honestly, he's a case of outweighed by others, such as Thunderlords, if you're going into that tree, or Grassy and Dying if you need to go really tanky top, probably. I don't think that he can make that great of usage out of it. No. Darius, I saw someone take it, but no. Darius's E can proc it, but once again, Darius is not an initiator. Darius, I mean, if you look at his ultimate, he's great at cleaning up. If you look at his ultimate, he's obviously made to clean up late game team fights. You can initiate with Darius. He's another one of those cases where he can initiate if he has to, but you'd really rather not. So I'm going to put Darius under no. Diana, she could use it, but outclassed by others. Mundo, it'd be great on Mundo if he could use it, but he has no way to proc Courage of the Colossus. So no. Draven, Echo, no. Because Echo only has one spell that can use it. It's his W. His W sure as hell is not reliable. And your counter argument might be like, well, his ultimate makes his W reliable, but that's one of our rules. It can't just be on your ultimate, so no. Echo's a no. If you do want to go into the defense tree on Echo, I think Bond of Stone or Grassy and Dying are both a lot better than Courage of the Colossus on him. But I also don't think Tank Echo is good at all right now, so I wouldn't be going that. Elise, no. Elise is another one that you wish she would have access to it, but because her E is a projectile skill shot, you're not going to be near a bunch of allies or enemies when you use it, so you're not going to get a lot of usage out of it. No. Maybe if you're going tank fid, but no. The reason that Galio's a no is because he can only use it on his ultimate. His Q and his E and his W do not proc Courage of the Colossus, so it's definitely not worth it to take on him, because every time that your ultimate's down, you will not be able to use your Keystone. You won't be able to use it before level 6, etc., etc. No. No, can't use it, can't use it. Gnar, it's outclassed by others. I thought about Gnar for a minute. You would think that, you know, a big Mega Gnar initiation would be great with Courage of the Colossus, which it would, but come on. Like, you're not in Mega Gnar for most of the game. For most of the game, you're Mini Gnar, and the whole time you're in Mini Gnar, you will not get any usage out of Courage of the Colossus. It's only with your W and your ult and Mega Gnar, so he's a no. It's outweighed by Grass the Undying heavily. It's also outweighed by Fervor if you decide to go for that tree. Gragas is a yes. I'm going to put Gragas in the yes department. Gragas can make usage of it with his E and his ultimate. You probably think his ult is the only way at first, but his E is a slight knockup if you hit a target, and that's the main way you would want to get the Courage of the Colossus thing. You could E in and then ult the enemies away. Either way, once you E in, you're going to be nearby enemies. You're going to get a lot of shields from it. Gragas is a yes. Graves, no. Hecarim is a big yes. Hecarim, it's very strong on Hecarim because he can get usage of it with his E and his ultimate. And your E on Hecarim is like almost as good as Maokai's W, which Maokai I think is probably the best user of Courage of the Colossus. We're not there yet, but Hecarim, it's a auto attack knockback. So that means you just select on someone while you're Eing, and then you'll get your Courage of the Colossus. You can also ult into the whole enemy team. Your ult is a fear, which impairs movement, so it does proc Courage of the Colossus. And that would get you a massive Courage of the Colossus shield if you hit a good ultimate to all the enemies. Sorry. So I definitely think it's good on Hecarim. Definitely good on Hecarim. Heimerdinger. No, not on Irelia. It's outweighed by others. No for Ivern. No. No on Jarvan. Jarvan's one that you might think so, but it's only able to be used on his QE combo. You're not always going to hit that, and even if you do, it's just kind of risky. So I think Grass the Undying probably is what you'd be taking on Jarvan. Jax, yeah, he meets most of our requirements, but it's outweighed by others. You probably want to be taking Fervor on Jax. Jace, no. I mean, he can proc it, but no. No, 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 no. I like how really from after Jack's over, for a long while, there's no tanks. I mean, no. Maybe on Kennen if... no. Not on Kled. Kled's... I'm pretty sure his shooty hook thing... I've never played Kled. I think it's his E. When you, like, kind of, you know, move them towards you, that would probably proc it. And his ultimate would proc it, I think. But probably outweighed by others. I don't think Kled's good with it. No. Not on Lee Sin, because you could only use it with Lee Sin's ultimate. Otherwise, it'd be good. Like, if you had another way to proc it, it'd be good, but we're going to stay true to our rule that it cannot only be on their ultimate, so no. Leona, yeah, she could make pretty good usage out of it, honestly. I didn't think about Leona. But, once again, it's another case of Alistar where you might want to take Bond of Stone instead. But we will actually throw Leona on the list, because you could go top lane Leona if you're trolling. And you can make good usage out of it with Leona's E, Q, and her ult. So, yes. Sorry, my hair is like a little bit in my eyes. It's really messy because, like I said, I just jumped out of bed and came over here, but whatever. No. Very disappointing, no. You would wish Malphite can make good usage out of it because it would make him very, very good right now. But the only way he can proc it is with his ultimate. And his ultimate isn't even a guaranteed CC. It's a skill shot CC, and enemies that I play against have learned to flash dodge it, so it's a bummer. You would wish that Malphite could use it, but it's not good on him. No. Maokai, the best. I think Maokai is the best. Some people might argue Nautilus is the best with it, but Maokai's W is just such a perfect way to get Courage of the Colossus, because if you W onto an enemy ADC and what do they run into their team, or they flash into their enemy teammates, all of a sudden you're near all the enemies. You get a massive Courage of the Colossus shield. I definitely think Maokai is the best to use Courage of the Colossus on, and I would almost always recommend him taking that. No. Unfortunately, no. Nasus has no way of proccing it. Yes, on Nautilus. If Maokai is the best, then Nautilus is the second best. The reason I don't think Nautilus is as good as Maokai is because both Nautilus's Q and his ult are ranged CC, and if either of those proc your Courage of the Colossus, you're probably not going to get that big of a shield from it. Nautilus's passive, his auto attack passive, can also proc it, so that's a good way of using it, and he's definitely good with it, but this is why I think Maokai is better than him at it. So yes, but not as good as him. No. Not the only one that can proc it out of these three is Nocturne with his E, but it's not worth it. No, Olaf can't proc it. No. Poppy's a very good one. Poppy is probably in the top 5 of best ones. I'd probably say Maokai, Nautilus, Hecarim. Those are both like extremely god tier with Courage of the Colossus. All of those guys are very, very strong with it. And then maybe Poppy after those. No. Rammus. Yeah, Rammus can use it, and I think, honestly, it's probably the best keystone on Rammus, but it's not that good on Rammus. Rammus is just in an unfortunate spot where Strength of the Ages was super good on him, but none of these other new keystones are really that great on him. But if you Q into an enemy, that'll proc it, and if you E an enemy, that will also proc it. So, yes, Rammus can use it. Yeah, it's probably the best on him, but that doesn't mean it's good on Rammus, right? Rek'Sai, yeah, she needs it. Rek'Sai's W Unburrow procs it. Now, Rek'Sai's always been a difficult champion to play, so it's actually still going to be difficult to make good usage out of your Courage of the Colossus. But if you're burrowed, you E into the enemies and you knock up 1 or 2 enemies, you have a few surrounding that enemy you knock up, that's going to make good usage out of the Courage of the Colossus. And I don't think there's a better keystone for her. She's also where Rammus, she's in the same boat as Rammus, where it's the best one for her, but that doesn't mean it's great on her. That's what she's got. That's how it is. Renekton, yeah, Renekton can use it. He can use it pretty well, but I think it's going to be outweighed by others because Renekton's historically a top laner. Top lane, you want Grass the Undying. It's like the laning tool for top laners. You probably want that, or you might want Fervor if you're going into the offense tree. Either way, you can make usage out of it with your W, but once again, Renekton's not the best initiator. His W is not really an initiation tool. You can use it to initiate, I guess, once again, if you don't have a better initiator in your team, but that doesn't mean it's the best thing to use for Renekton. I think Grasp or Fervor both outweigh it on him. No. Yeah, Sejuani goes on the list, but it's difficult for her to use it because the only ways that she can proc it are with her Q if she hits it and with her ultimate. Now, her ultimate is obviously pretty easy to hit. I mean, it's a skill shot. It can be missed. But while her ultimate's not that hard to use, it's a ranged skill shot. So it puts her in that scenario where if she hits a long-range ultimate, yeah, that's great. But it means her Courage of the Colossus shield is going to be smaller because she's not near all the enemies. So just like Gragas, she's one where you're going to have to Q into the enemies. Gragas hits E, and then ult, and try to get a big shield like that. So, yes, but it's a bummer. Next up is Shin. Not on Shaka. Come on, guys. But yeah, Shin. Shin can make use of it with his E. That's the only way he can use it. But his E is definitely a melee initiation tool. So it definitely fits our criteria. It's very good on Shin. Yes to Shin. If you're going top lane, you might want to go Grass the Undying instead. But either way, you're going to get good usage out of Courage of the Colossus if you do plan on taking it. So yes to Shin. Shyvana, no, because it's only on her ultimate. Singed, yes. I know it's actually pretty strong on Singed, or at least that's what I hear from seeing the title of Search as his streams. As far as I know, it's good on Singed. Obviously, you get it with your Fling on Singed, but that, once again, is a melee initiation tool. So that means you'll be near a bunch of enemies. When you go in and use it, you'll get a massive shield from it, etc., etc. That's what she wrote. So, good on Singed. Sion, no. Sion actually doesn't get to go on my list. He can proc it with his Q and his ultimate. So you might think he gets to go on the list, but both his Q and his ultimate are very unreliable, and they're not really spammable. His Q has to charge all the way up to hit the knockup, and while good Sion players can, ult in and then Q and get a big knockup, then you're relying on your ult. So, it's okay on Sion, but honestly, I think Bond of Stone might just be the best one on Sion. You can go Grasp if you're top lane, of course, but if you're jungling Sion, I think Bond of Stone is the only good one. I don't think that Courage of the Colossus is that good on him because it's just difficult. It's just difficult to proc it. You either have to have someone else's CC to follow up to make sure you hit your Q, or you have to use your ult, and that's just not worth it. Sivir, no. Skarner, yeah. Skarner actually gets to go on the list. You might think at first that Skarner can only proc it with his ultimate, but no, he can also proc it with his E. So that means you'll get usage of it before level 6, and if you get big ultimates off late game, then 1, good job, because you're going to be taking their... Obviously, Skarner's goal is to go in, grab their carry, whether it's their mid lane or AD carry, and deuce on the fuck out of there back to your team. If you go into the enemy team to ult someone, you're going to get a really big Courageous Colossus shield. Scrunners, yes. No, 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 no to Tahm Kench, simply because it's outweighed by others. Yeah, his eat can make usage of it, but he's a support. You can play him top and jungle if you really want, but he's definitely not top tier in either of those roles. And if you're going top, Grassy and Dying would probably outweigh it. If you're going jungle, yeah, you'd probably use Courageous Colossus, but no, don't play him jungle. And support, you probably want Bond of Stone, so no, not going to work for him. No, no, Taric, no. Your E can proc it, but your E is kind of long range, especially if you get the stun off of an ally. So that means you wouldn't be getting a big shield, and also Taric's a support, so usually Bond of Stone is going to be better on him. No. Thresh, he's almost there. Thresh is almost there, but I just don't think he can make that good of usage of it. I think that he's better with Bond of Stone. If you hit your Q, that will proc it, and your Q is a ranged thing, kind of like Blitz. I mean, really like Blitz. So you wouldn't be getting the best. However, if you go in and flay a bunch of enemies, that'd be good, but how are you going to go in without your Q? And your Q would proc Courageous Colossus. He's almost there. Thresh is almost there, but I just don't think that it's good enough of a keystone. Courageous Colossus is not like super broken. I should have said this earlier, but it's not like insanely strong. It's just strong on certain champions, so nah, it's not gonna work for Thresh. Tristana, no. Trundle is a notable mention. He can actually proc it with his E, because his E does knock back targets if you hit it directly under them. So Trundle can make usage of it. However, his E has a very long range. You would have to be in the enemy team and then E someone to get a good usage of your Courage of the Colossus. You're better to just take Grassy and Dying if you're top, or probably Fervor, or maybe still Grassy and Dying if you're jungle. I don't think that it's that great on Trundle. No, 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 yes. Udyr gets to go on the list. Obviously, Udyr makes usage out of it with his E, which is almost the exact same way that Hecarim does. Hecarim has more mobility than Udyr, depending on what your build is. And Hecarim's ult's also a better way to get it, so Hecarim can use it better than Udyr, but it's definitely good on Udyr. Udyr gets to go on the list. No, 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 no. Yes, Vi gets to go on the list. Vi's Q can proc it at early levels, as long as you hit your Q, which, I mean, you'll have to have skill on Vi, but come on. As long as you hit your Q, yes, and then your ultimate obviously will also proc it, and you can use that as an initiation tool. Vi's not the best initiator. Really, it's better if you have someone else to do it for you, but you can get away with pretty good initiations on Vi, so yes. Lastly, well, no, Volibear gets to go on the list, yes. Same reason as Hecarim and Udyr. If you have a auto attack CC, hard CC, in this case it's Volibear's Q, you're a yes, because then you can definitely make usage of it. So yes. Warwick, no, it's only on his ultimate. Wukong, no, it's only on his ultimate. No. Zinzao, no, because it's outweighed by Fervor, it's outweighed by Grassy and Dying, and also it's kind of hard to get his. You have to hit all three procs of your Q, and a lot of enemies will just flash away from Zinzao. That wouldn't really work until you get like a ton of attack speed, and I mean, just before then, it would just be better to have either Fervor or Grassy and Dying. So no, 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 yes, Zac definitely gets it. With Zac's E and his ultimate, those both will proc Courage of the Colossus, so yeah, you can definitely make good usage out of it. No, 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 and no. So, that's it. I'm tired of talking. But that's it. Like I said, the list is actually pretty small. You guys might have been baited by me having the list really long, but nah, this is it. This is almost the exact same as the list I made earlier. The only difference, I'm going to pull it over from the side. The only difference is we added Leona actually this time, because when I thought about it, she'd be pretty good. But other than that, same list. And it's pretty small. It's a pretty small list. Now, I know some of you guys might think that other champions can make usage out of it, but I have two answers to that. One, no, they can't. And two, even if they can, Courage of the Colossus isn't like, it's good, but it's not like game-breaking good. So most of those other champions can just make better usage out of other keystones. So this is the list. I hope it helps you guys kind of narrow down and stop your guesswork, because I'm not going to lie, I definitely lost a couple of games by taking Courage of the Colossus on champions I shouldn't have taken it on. Example A, I took it on Malphite here, defeat. And example B, I took it on Garen, which was super stupid. This is actually the first game I played on my main on this patch. No. So anyways, hopefully that'll help you guys. I also took it on Echo once, I think. Was this my Tank Echo game? Let's see if we can't find out if I took it this game. No, I took Grassy and Dying. Okay, I still think that's probably better on Echo. He just can't use it that well, but either way. Hopefully this list will help you guys. Save it, make a sticky note like I did, put it on your desktop, and then that way you won't make the mistake of trying to take it on champions that it isn't good on. But also, if you think it is good on champion, I didn't include them, please let me know about it down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have fun on the Rift, boys. Make good usage out of that Colossus. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.